I cannot stand concerned citizens. The ones who covertly write denunciations, the ones who whisper into ears, the ones who cover their faces, the ones who do their evil deeds in the shadows, and the ones who are afraid to reveal their names. I think that you know who I'm talking about. A lot of tragedies happen because of such concerned citizens all over the world. Why am I speaking of concerned citizens in the beginning of the stream? Well, because Russian government has been notoriously known for playing the role of the concerned citizens. If it wanted to do something evil, it would pose as concerned citizens and it would create a response. Listen to this. Pay close attention. I quote. Soldiers, widows of Russia for mobilization! Exclamation sign. We are soldiers, widows of Russia. We are the ones who did not hide their husbands behind our skirts. We are the ones who are ready for anything for the sake of our great victory. Today, all the world's evil has united against Russia. The entire Western world has turned against us. It's either us or them. There is no other choice. And we ask our President Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin to allow the Russian army to carry out a large-scale mobilization that will correspond to the situation that has developed on our borders. There are tens of millions of men of military age in Russia. We have someone to rely on and with whom to meet the enemy. But what will our men be able to do sitting at home without skillful command, supplies, and uniforms? Mobilization is what will give them the opportunity. Now it's not the time to be cowardly. Now it's not the time to bargain. When Joseph Stalin issued order number 227 on measures to strengthen discipline and order in the Red Army and the prohibition of unauthorized withdrawal from the combat positions, which we remember as the order not one step back. He did not think about any ratings and dissatisfaction with dissidents. He thought in terms of victory only. We ask our president, our supreme commander-in-chief, to prohibit the departure of men of military age outside Russia. And we have a full moral right to do this. Our husbands died protecting these men. But who will protect us if they run away? Soldiers, widows of Russia, for greater mobilization. Russia for mobilization. This is our request, our decision, our demand. And we believe that the authorities will hear us. I kid you not. This is what's been around yesterday and today around Russian informational space. No names given, just the widows, soldiers, widows of Russia. The concerned widows. And if you think it's real widows behind this paper, behind this speech, behind this declaration, then I think you need to think twice or three times or more. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia. This is the place where I give you the updates on news, current developments, events that happen in Russia, and I give you my opinions, my takes. The usual Russia explained by the unusual Russian. Who do you think is behind this? Please let me know in the live chat comments and in the comments after I'm finished streaming. Who do you think? Do you think this is real mothers, or do you think this is someone in the government posing as widows, not mothers, but widows? I have seen a couple of widows of people, men, who fell in Ukraine. Not pretty sight. The sight I want to unsee, but unfortunately I can't. The sight I want to unhear, but unfortunately I can't. The widows, they weren't thinking of anything else but their pain. They were hollering. They didn't want to leave the graves of their husbands. They screamed. You know, their lives were just cut in pieces. I think writing a letter glorifying Joseph Stalin would be the very last thing on their mind. I mean, not a sane person would even think about them writing something like that. Well, this is important though. And I think it's important because it's a sign, and I'm going to be talking about science a lot. You know what? Without further ado, I would like to jump into my message. I think that very soon in Russia there will be a huge total mobilization. This total mobilization will lead to the total war that's going to be declared. I think its start is just around the corner. And this is why I think, you see, I always look at science. One sign is, well, can be coincidence. 2 signs or 3 signs can be coincidences. But if there are 50 or 100 signs, then it's not the coincidences anymore. It's the pieces of the puzzle. And once the pieces are put in place, the puzzle reveals the big picture. And I think we're very close, at least to me, the big picture is revealed right now. Plain and simple. In the stream, I want to give you the signs as I see them. What I see and I think is a sign. And if you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree with me, I would love to hear your opinion, what you think about what I'm about to say. So, I'm going to give you a bunch of signs, and at the end, I will put them into one large puzzle that will reveal the picture. Without further ado, let's jump right into the science. These signs appeared at different times, some recently, some quite some time ago, and they have different weight, so to speak. I did not classify them, and I just give them to you as a bunch of signs. That's basically it. Russian propaganda has changed its tone. In the beginning of the war, what in Russia is still being called the special military operation, Russia propaganda, well, first of all, it kicked in 100, like in full force, right at the beginning of this tragedy. And at first, their propaganda's message was generally plain and simple. You don't have to do anything. Take popcorn, sit in a nice, comfortable chair, turn on TV, and watch how glorious Russian professional army defeats Ukrainian half troops. Plain and simple. You don't have to do anything. But then, about quite a few months after, a few months back now, I think around 6 months, things started turning sour, and the Russian propaganda changed its tone. Instead of "don't do anything," it started saying, "well, you know what? Things are getting serious. And all the resources, this is serious now. We're not just against Ukraine. We're not just denazifying or demilitarizing Ukraine. We are at war with the collective West, with NATO. NATO soldiers are on the ground fighting our boys, our finest, and they're killing them. Of course, the beasts from NATO, they're well equipped. They're so professional. They're bloodthirsty. We need to mobilize. We need to mobilize everything that we have. We need to support the state. We need to support the government." And then later, it turned into, "hey, you must give your life to motherland and Vladimir Putin if needed." And that's basically what they're saying right now. This is the tone, okay? And I'll tell you moreover, I was very surprised to hear that one of the Russia's top propagandists was saying, literally, "what is life? Life is not a big deal, we're all gonna die sooner or later. Well, might as well die for good reason. It's just, it's life right now. It's gonna end anyway, and then there'll be afterlife. So we shouldn't be scared of that. We shouldn't be scared of death." And Vladimir Putin, he was meeting the mothers of the fallen soldiers. He kind of gave the same idea. So to me, that is a sign that something is about to get down, because the propaganda started conditioning people differently. Moving on. Russian troops have been retreating in the fields of Ukraine, in the battlefields, and it's been going on for a very long time. Kherson, Kharkov, Kiev, some other villages and towns, and this is the trend. It still continues. It's not. It hasn't been stopped. There's been a mobilization announced and executed three months ago. So this is month number 4 of the mobilization. And things haven't radically changed. So the trend is the Russian army is pulling back. That's a sign to me that something, it cannot go on forever. Something's going to get done. Moving on. This war, from just being a special military operation executed in a neighboring country, it has become to the matter of survival for people, say for the regime. I'd say for very few key people, top people, the bosses, very few Russia's bosses. You see, before, they theoretically could lose and pull the troops back and saying, "hey, you know what, didn't work out in Ukraine, but we tried." And they probably still would hang on to their power. Now, things are different. If Russia is defeated, then their power is taken away from them. The Russian management system, we call it the vertical of power, will be destroyed. And who knows what's going to happen to the lives of these people. So this has become a matter of survival, and these people have become cornered animals. Moving on. There was pretty interesting speech that made waves. Ukraine's Minister of Defense, his last name is Reznikov, he made an announcement on YouTube. He made an address to Russian men saying, you know what, according to our intelligence, January 5th is the date when the new mobilization will be announced and the Iron Curtain will be lowered upon Russia. So you still have a few days, act. I think he did this speech due to two reasons. First reason is Ukrainian intelligence really does know things. Ukrainian intelligence has turned out to be right on quite a few things quite often. So the chances are it's right on mobilization today, this time. And the second reason, I think this speech was made publicly available to Russian men to disrupt the mobilization, because you'd better believe it, there will be no mobilization announced on January 5th. If they announce it on January 5th, it means that Russian military leadership in general is absolutely inadequate, because Ukrainian intelligence knows their actions to a T, you know. So they will not announce it on January 5th, I think, which is tomorrow, well, today in Russia, because in Tashkent it's already past midnight. But they will most likely announce it in a few days. 11th of January, 13th perhaps, 9th, something like that. Moving on. Putin's stand. That's a good one. That's a sign that not too many people noticed. At least I noticed. That I'm sharing it with you. You see, in order to notice this sign, you have to look at not just at make a snapshot of what's happening today, but you have to know what was happening over the last 10 months. You see, Vladimir Putin distanced himself from this whole military operation. His position was, I am forced to make decisions at someone else's suggestion. For example, at the military suggestion. The military Minister of Defense of Russia, Sergei Shoigu, suggests, and I do things. I hesitate, but I have no choice because the military knows better, okay? And his stand had been, he was far away, you know, he was watching from afar, from aside. He was like a judge. But lately, his stand has been changing. You see, he knows that things are going to get up or down, I guess down. He knows that the stinky substance is going to hit the fan very soon. And if he remains at his position far away, that he's going to stay there. And he's going to lose power, and he's going to be cut off everything. So in order for that not to happen, he needs to change his position. And he has. Lately, he has been actively taking more and more steps, kind of stepping into this situation. He started meeting mothers, so-called mothers of fallen soldiers. Some people say it was a fake setup. I don't know. Okay. He's been making speeches about especially military operation that he called war himself. He addressed the military leadership of Russia instead of the upper chamber of Russian parliament that is required by the constitution. He just doesn't care about things like that. You know, instead he addressed a different crowd, the top military leadership. And the latest event, the latest action was actually a very strong one. He gave the address, New Year address to the nation in front of military men, the servicemen. Again, there are rumors that those men behind him are not really the servicemen, But again, they're just rumors. I cannot prove or disprove. We clearly saw Vladimir Putin speaking for quite some time. It was the longest speech ever. He was addressing us, and he was telling, never happened before. Military was never there. He was always in the background. There was Kremlin. He was always in front of the Kremlin war, festivities, nice mood, celebration, hope for the new year, that type of thing. Very light messages. This time, no Kremlin. This time, military men right behind him. Look my stream couple days ago on a thumbnail, you will see that very same picture. So his actions have clearly showed us that he is getting ready to be the leader in the military times, in the times of war, in the times of military conflict, and he is ready to take a more active role. And to me, my friends, that's a big, big sign. Moving on. Propaganda. Like I said, propaganda has been changing a lot. Propaganda had two agendas. First agenda was don't do anything, just sit on the couches, eat popcorn and watch TV. Then they became disillusioned, I would say. They lost it. In September, when Russian troops unexpectedly left Kharkov, no one had expected. Military hadn't expected it, And then when military left Kherson, this propaganda people, they were lost. They were like, what the hell is going on? But then they got the clear message. I guess they got a signal of what to talk about. And in December, they pulled themselves together and they started pushing this military agenda. And I'm not just talking about the top propagandists speaking. I'm talking about they started changing Russia's informational space. On TV, more movies about World War II, about sacrifice of people that people have made. More programs showing the, Russian soldiers, how they're hurt and things like that, They're trying to pump hate into Russians, saying, look what atrocious things are done to our boys, So Russian propaganda has been pumping this war mood into people. And again, clearly its tone changed about 5-6 weeks ago. To me, that is a sign. The latest on propaganda was 2 days ago. I made a stream. It's called Russian Propaganda Striking New Year. And that's exactly about that. This is the quintessence of what has been happening in the last 5-6 weeks. The entire New Year Day and the New Year celebration and New Year Eve, most important holiday for the Russian people. Most important programs, most important television shows, never before were filled with military. Not even at the times of the USSR. It's always artists, athletes, politicians, showmen, TV personalities, stand-up comedians, singers, performers of all kinds. It's always lighthearted. It's always like festivities. It's always New Year mood. This time, military officers, decorated officers, in front of the cameras, and everyone else, the artists, the performers, and so forth, they are the background. They're just out there, but in front of the camera, the true heroes of today, the military, the officers, mid-range officers, not the generals or anything. They just came from the battlefield, okay? And then, of course, Putin's speech. So that's a clear sign. Moving on. Again, another sign that is not a snapshot, but it's been happening for quite some time, quite a few months, and I've been talking about that also frequently. That is the foundation for a monumental change in Russian economy towards war economy. You see, starting in July, I think that's when they understood that there's a possibility of total war. Because they started making these new laws that were laying foundation for the government completely taking over economy in times of war, in times of total mobilization, dictating private companies of what they cannot produce and at what prices they can't sell, and they cannot refuse military orders and so forth. We hadn't seen anything like this before in Russia. Well, like I said, it was a free country in the 90s, and the idea of something like that happening would be just absolutely atrocious. But it started happening this July. And the foundation of these laws, quite a few of them, was laid. So it was not a revolution, it was evolution, stepping stones. Small law here, small law there, amendment to existing law. And after a certain process, now there's an infrastructure, the foundation of these laws. At a turn of the button, the push of a button, this new system starts working, starts being operational, and all of a sudden, people are not allowed to quit their jobs if they work for certain companies that produce military equipment, crucial military equipment. They cannot refuse to work extra hours. They cannot refuse to work night shifts and so forth. The control is seized by the government, and it's legal. Same goes for the private companies. Right now, this foundation is complete. And to me, that is a sign that the country is ready and its economy is ready to be put on war tracks. Moving on. Another sign, very clear sign, is that there are some top propagandists openly has been speaking that there will be a new, larger, mass-scale mobilization in Russia. Plain and simple. They don't hide. They talk about it openly. That is the sign. Moving on. People are angry. And in general, angry. And they are angry at mobilization. And the longer this situation is happening, there will be more and more, less and less chances of another successful mobilization. You have to control people's anger because that's very important. And that makes me believe that the new mobilization, the big one, the total war, is just around the corner. The days, not weeks, not months, it's just about days. Moving on. Another sign that now, I most likely one of the very few people who noticed this sign. At least I haven't heard of anyone in the Russian information space talking about that. That is the special order that Vladimir Putin gave to KGB to create a consolidated database, a high-tech system that would include all government agencies' databases on Russian citizens in order to make the work of mobilization centers in the future more effective. I believe that Vladimir Putin signed it in October, late October or November, so quite some time ago. And I clearly remember the date when this database, when this system must be operational, must be turned on, so to speak. April 1st of 2023. So, some events, Russian government never hides anything. But it puts priorities, it puts emphasis on some things, and it tries to kind of hide other things in shadows, but still they're in plain sight. They are in plain sight. So, this is one of those things. No one lied us. Information is open, it's public. I have heard that information. I have seen that order. I believe it's on President's website. Again, very few people talking about that, but I think it's a hugely important thing for Russia and for total war and for mobilization. You see, April 1st of 2023 is a decoy. Smoke over water. It's a signal to Russian people, relax. That's going to happen. But that's going to happen sometimes in the future. In April. It's still almost like 9 months or whatever, 7 months. So no worries. And then that's how people think. Yes, he did sign, but you know what? Not a big deal because we can always leave before April or whatever. The thing is, April is decoy. The system is operational. It's working now. I am pretty sure. I cannot guarantee you 100%. I don't have any inside information. But this is my thought. I think it is ready to be turned on. Once it's turned on, this is the digital Iron Curtain. This is a hugely important thing. Once it's turned on, the Iron Curtain descends, and that's it. Hey, Russia does not have another real Iron Curtain because some people, everyone is free to leave Russia. Hey, no problem, just go. But if you are a subject of mobilization, possible mobilization, I'm sorry, you cannot go. There are laws. Remember, they laid out a legal foundation. There are laws. They're acting according to the law, Russian law and Russian laws. So this database will prevent everyone from leaving Russia, okay? So to me, that's a clear sign that something big is about to get down. Moving on. Sun Tswang. Russia is losing military-wise. And the leadership knows, very well aware, and the leadership understands that something needs to get done. If nothing is done, then Ukrainians will keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. So mobilization and throwing masses of people is pretty much the only choice that the Russian government has to somehow to change the situation in the war with Ukraine. And to me, that's a clear sign. Moving on. This is a sign that is very open. Very few Russians pay attention. I don't understand why. But Sergei Shoigu, Russian Minister of Defense, openly suggested Vladimir Putin that the Russian army needs to be increased, number of troops needs to be increased to, I think, by 300 more 300,000 more people. I believe it's 1.5 million people. And Vladimir Putin agreed. Okay, so basically it's a done deal. We can be sure that the Russian army will be increased. Again, it's in plain sight. They're not hiding it. It's a true information. The leaders are speaking, and then when in the future they're asked, they will be able to say, "Hey, you know what? We told everyone. No one cared." So to me, that's a very clear sign that something is going to get down. And another very sad, very, very misunderstood by me sign is Russian people, when the mobilization was announced, a lot of Russian people got angry, their relatives got angry, but not majorly angry. Mobilization went down as planned. There were some riots, well, mini riots, I would say, and they were mostly aimed at the local governments because they were not delivering the promises of Vladimir Putin concerning the money, concerning the, clothing, concerning the providing all necessary equipment and so forth. Very few people actually, I don't think anyone rioted saying, "Hey, we don't want to go and kill Ukrainians." At least not to my knowledge. I don't know anything like that. And basically, people ate this mobilization in September. And I think the powers that be, the government, the decision makers, they're looking down at the people right now and are thinking to themselves, we can throw them anything and they won't do nothing. They won't do much. People will not be resisting. And at this point, I think the government rightfully is getting ready to do anything with people it wants to. And to me, people just in compliance with the mobilization, with what's going on, to me, that's a clear sign that they will be taken advantage more and more in the future. Now, these are quite a few signs, not all of them, because I could go on and on, but I think they're important, significant to understand where we are standing in Russia right now. And I started the stream with how I dislike the concerned citizens. I actually made a stream about that, about the McCarthy Commission in Russia that was formed in August. That's also a Committee of Concerned Citizens. But this statement, this can't even say paper because it's all digital. This message, this address to Russian people and to Vladimir Putin from the widows of Russian soldiers, this can be the start of this whole thing. Who knows? The leaders, the powers that be, they can take this message or a message like this, and based on this message, based on this request, as this people say, let me quote again. We ask our president, our supreme commander-in-chief, to prohibit the departure of men of military age outside of Russia. Who do these women think they are? Okay, I think they know exactly who they are. And we have a full moral right to do this. Our husbands died protecting these men. No one died protecting me. No one died protecting my family. People died because they went to kill Ukrainians. That's why they died. But who will protect us if they run away? Who will protect you? Soldiers, widows of Russia. This is the very last sentence of this address. Soldiers, widows of Russia for greater mobilization! Exclamation sign. Russia for mobilization! Exclamation sign. This is our request, our decision, our demand. And we believe that their authorities will hear us. And the authorities will surely hear these people who wrote this. No, I think it's not the widows. So anyway, the authorities will take a document, this document, or a document like this. They will present it to everyone, and they will say, look, even the widows, even the widows of the fallen soldiers, they're asking us to do that. We have no choice. It's not us, it's these widows. We must protect them. We must, do as they say, as they ask us, because they lost their husbands. Okay, again, there are no names. There are no faces. There are no signatures. There's just this address, all right? But the authorities will take it and say, you know what, therefore, we start this greater mobilization. We declare war because we need to take revenge for this fallen husbands of these women. And, there you have it. Stinky substance start hitting the fan. This has been my message for today. I hope you found it interesting. Please let me know in the comments what you think. You agree? Perhaps you disagree with something I said. I would love to hear, especially if you disagree. Before I turn on the comments, I'd like to ask you two things. Please help me spread this message by making reposts in your social media accounts. Like this message, subscribe to the channel, and join my Telegram channel called Inside Konstantin's Russia. No, Konstantin Inside Russia. Description and the link down below. Thank you so very much. Turning on the comments now. It's always a committee of concerned citizens. The comments are on. Thank you so very much, everyone, for joining me. Thank you, mods. Mommy, Lorna, Harry, Bob, Amir, Black Cat, thank you so much for coming back and helping me out again. Thank you, the usual suspects. Great to see you, everyone. Thank you very much. Without further ado, I will jump into the comments and questions. If you want me to see your comment or question, please put it in caps and put Inside Russia after @ so I see a large orange box. Therefore, it's much easier to see for me. Thank you. I will read only messages in caps and with the large boxes, orange boxes. Howdy, Bob S. Howdy everyone. Howdy, mods. Good afternoon from Chicago. Mr. Kaliskan, great to see you, the usual suspect. Multi-Ducky, the usual suspect from Germany. Howdy, good Abend. Diana, Stefan from Switzerland, howdy, most frightening message. I agree with you, Stefan. This message is getting scarier and scarier. MP, there's video coming out today from Belarus train station. Light boards saying men 18, 60 years of age need to report to military recruitment stations to check their eligibility. Thank you so much, MP, for letting me know. I did not hear about that. Mark my words, my friends. I think from 11th to 13th of January, there will be the big announcement. Perhaps there will be no announcement, but the digital Iron Curtain will fall, will descend upon Russia. Jeffrey S. Do you know anyone that needs dating advice today? A little bit of a comic relief. Guys, we have a fantastic member of this community, Jeffrey S., but just one thing. Don't take his dating advice. Everything else, this guy is great. 6,000 people watching. Thank you so much. That's a lot. NW, Russian warships to be deployed. Very recent development. Vladimir Putin hinted us something. There are signs, but very fresh signs. I need to assess them. Alvin, good question. Thank you. Why do they call it mobilization instead of draft? Draft has existed in Russia always. Draft is the duty of every Russian man. When you turn age of 18, you are drafted to go and serve 2 years in the army. Used to be 2 years, now it's 1 year. There's no way around it. Draft is draft, okay? Mobilization is different. It's when a war conflict, military conflict, like what's happening with Ukraine right now, and there is an extra need for men. The men who have already served in the past, okay? The men who want to join as volunteers, they need extra people. Mobilization is they're mobilizing extras. But draft goes according to the plan, as usual, you know. We just had the fall draft. I think around 100,000, over 100,000, 120,000 Russian young boys, 18-year-olds were drafted. Rick, always timely updates. Thank you so much. Figo Peyton SM, Patrick from Stockholm here. Hello. Howdy, Patrick. Great to have you. Thank you. Hope you keep on coming back for more updates. RC Roscoe, hey brother, you're 1,000 on the money with this one. I saw this coming months ago. You know, I saw this coming months ago too, but it's like sign here, sign there. You don't know when it's happening. But now it's the moment where we're standing right in front of the waterfall and we're hearing it and it's deafening us, okay? And we're seeing it right here. And we take 1 or 2 more steps and we go down. This is where we are right now. Millie, I can't disagree. Thank you so much. Cheryl Waitley, Tucson, Arizona. Howdy. Steven, good to see you today. Likewise, thank you. Howdy from New Mexico. Ken, howdy, Ken. Deb, Nikomito, interesting. Japan gearing up for confrontation with Russia over islands too. I have not heard anything about that. Probably something I should look into. Just Terry, do you think they will start calling SMO war? They started calling that already. Vladimir Putin himself called it. Okay? In one of the recent speeches a week ago, he called this war, not MSMO. Now, for calling this thing war, some people are behind the bars for 7 years, for more, you know. And then he calls this war, and not a big deal. Top Russian propagandists started calling it war as well. Bruno, hi to everyone here from Belgium, insignificant Fourth Reich propagandist. Howdy. That was a good stream. Lionel, great message as usual. Thank you so much, Lionel. Unlucky if you're still in Russia in a target. I am not in Russia. And am I a target? Oh yes, better believe it. They just haven't gotten to me yet because I think they have plenty of other things on their hands and plenty of other people speaking Russian on their hands. Thank you for the super chat from Jekyll N. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. No message, but this message is pretty powerful. Thank you. Radio 10. Greetings from the Netherlands. Howdy, howdy. Holy be Jesus, what will this all mean for the rest of Europe? I think at the end, Europe will come out shining, stronger than ever. Will there be hard times? Absolutely. Have already been hard times for the past year. But my guess is that you will come up with new technologies, how to provide energy. And I know for a fact, I've been contacted by a couple companies, they're doing completely different things unheard of before. And these things are going to explode. You're going to be non-dependent on Russian oil and gas. You're going to be competitive. And what I think about Europe is you all are absolutely fantastic people, because in these hard times, you reach out and you help Ukrainians. You reach out and even help Russians who, run away, who flee from Russia. And that is love and empathy. And if you have love and empathy, then, my friends, you're gonna get through anything, okay? And you're gonna come out on top at the end. This is what I think about Europe. I will tell you a story right now that has touched me. I'm not gonna name people's names, and I'm not gonna who that is, but a person from the West. Well, actually, not just one. A couple people have contacted me with a similar requests. They said basically, hey, we want to help some Russians who are in need. They need money for medicine. They need money for food. They need money for. They basically not doing well. If they don't get money for medicine, they die. And they asked me to help those Russians in Russia. And they would provide help, like, would reimburse me here. To me, that's the highest level of empathy that a person can reach, because there is such a conflict with Russia, and Russia being isolated, and Russia's image is shattered, but people still remain people, and they're full of love, full of empathy, and reach out hand and help the Russians in Russia, okay? And they're also helping Ukrainians as well, It's not like they just separate. This is why I think that the Western countries, the USA, Canada, Australia, European countries, you're going to come up on top, because you just cannot fail with values like this, with people like this. I'm sorry, that's a long answer. This is what I think it's going to mean for Europe. A few super chats. Michael Yukon, thank you so much. Best from Las Vegas. Always interesting take on the situation. Thank you. I appreciate the support, and it's great to have you as the usual suspect and the usual supporter. Thank you so much, Michael. Stephen Puglisi, thank you so much. No message, but $10 is a very strong message. Thank you. I appreciate the support. Luke King, as usual, fantastic questions and lots of support. For total war, do you think the whole economy will be put into the war production? Yes, I think so. Because if you go into total war, it's all or nothing. And I think that we're going all. Yes, Luke. Yes. The legal foundation for total war and for the war economy tracks have been laid out, like I said. Ken Nicholson, thank you so very much for your support as well. Thank you. And we have a new sponsor, Alexandru Toma. Welcome to Inside Russia. Thank you. I saw a couple smaller super chats disappeared. I will try to pull them up. Luke King, interesting and important message today. Thank you. Again, Luke, thank you so much for being here. To Photography, hi Konstantin. I hope your thinking is not true, but I'm afraid to. I pray that it will not happen. Thank you for the support. I pray this will not happen as well. But, you know, what can I say? Beer Jew. Thank you. Why does Putin hate American citizens? I don't think he hates American citizens. Somehow he hates Ukraine. He hates that Ukraine is out of his control. And that's the biggest problem. American citizens are of none of his concern. He's just using the West. He's using the United States as a boogeyman for Russians, saying, oh, look, it's the United States waging a proxy war on us, through Ukraine and stuff like that. So I think he's been to America himself. He's been to Maine. He went to Maine in 2004, I believe, or 2005. He visited, what's that place that Bush's family owns in Kennebunkport? I think it's, Walker's Point. There you go. He was a guest in Kennebunk, and then he was invited to Walker's Point, and he had a good time. Then he went to Bush's rancho in Texas, and he rode a bicycle, and I don't think he hates Americans. I think he just likes his own power. He's just he's fused with this power. He just cannot part with it. It's a tragedy, it's human tragedy. Ove Thompson, thank you so very much. No message, but this message is pretty powerful. I appreciate the support. Yodi Racer, TikTok. Howdy from Las Vegas, my friend. My friends, there are lots of super chats. I apologize if I miss a super chat and I don't acknowledge it, but if I start talking a lot, answering one question, then I can miss it. So please don't get upset. Thank you for a new sponsor, Neste Rally. Thank you. Welcome to Inside Russia. And Jason Carney, besides this huge support that you gave one more time, thank you so much. You gave sponsorship of Inside Russia to 5 people. Thank you. And Jason, thank you for $100 again. From the bottom of my heart, from myself and my wife. Thank you. I'm going to take $100 and I'm going to take my kid and wife to go, take a cab and drive right up to the mountain resort and just hang out there all day. So that's on you. Thank you so much. And Tamas Miklos from Hungary, thank you so very much for another very generous support. I appreciate. Thank you so very much. I was gonna tell you this. I see so many people from different countries and different cities. Lots of Americans, lots of people from Texas, from California, from Las Vegas, from New York, from Florida, quite a few. And here in Russia, here in Tashkent, here it's Inside Russia. I go to a morning gathering of people, of Russians mostly, and we have a few Ukrainians these days. And this has become my refuge, my salvation, because I meet people just like me, same age, same status, same, like, we have families, same, more or less same income, give or take, and same values. We have same take on what's happening in Ukraine, and it's so therapeutic and it's so pleasant to go every morning. I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Well, tomorrow I'm going to the mountains, but then once in a while I skip if I go away. But if in Tashkent, which is pretty much like every day, I wake up at 10:30, I show up at that place, and usually there are a couple people wait for me, and already who arrive early, and then they wave and we just chat, and then so great. So, you know what I'm thinking? If I go to places where my subscribers or viewers are, large cities, I probably would do the same thing. Like if I go to Las Vegas, I would let everyone know, and then I would just meet for breakfast some people, whoever would want to show up. Los Angeles, New York, and places like that. So, anyway. Michael Werner, thank you so much for your support. Thank you, appreciate it. Holy be Jesus, 10 years. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Think I missed a few super chats. Yodi Racer, I like how you say TikTok. TikTok. I keep on repeating that. TikTok. TikTok. Someone's coming. TikTok. Alexander Toma, there's hang on. Niksha, thank you so very much for your support as well. I appreciate it. Iris Martinez, love from Dallas, Texas. Peace to all the world. Thank you so much, Mr. Martinez. Thank you. Support is appreciated. The words are absolutely, and the wishes are absolutely priceless. Thank you. I've heard that everything is bigger and better in Texas. Is that true? AKA Dieter, Brewing Imagery. Thank you so much. I appreciate what you've been doing with the messages. This past month have humbled me tremendously. Thank you. I'll keep coming, Dieter. Dieter, thank you so much for the support. Money is very appreciated these days. Just take my word on that. But you know what is even greater value to me? You saying that these messages they have humbled you, they've been interesting, and you will keep on coming back for more. Thank you so much. That is really priceless. Thank you. Kaije1, any signs of growing resistance organizations in Russia? Nope, none whatsoever. There are more resistance here in Tashkent than in Russia. Perhaps, some people but unfortunately, nothing I heard of. Perhaps they're so deeply hidden we don't hear about them. But Adam Clark, honestly, what the Russians think victory in Ukraine would actually look like? What's the end goal? The thing is, Adam, Russians don't think about that. The government tells them we need the victory, but then they don't explain what the victory is. I don't understand what the victory is. No one has explained. Hey, we take entire Ukraine. We kill all Ukrainians. Or we enslave all Ukrainians. Or we just, we'll get in, denazify, kill all the Nazis, get out, Or we'll grab half of the Ukraine provinces. That would be the goals of victory. The conditions of the victory. But no one is telling us. St. Louis, Missouri, love to watch. Vicky McCollum, the usual suspect. Thank you so much for coming back. Hello from Houston, from Paula Troth. Howdy, howdy. Is that true that everything is bigger and better in Texas? JKB, if Putin was offered an exit, a right that would take him to leave? Yes, I think that if he was offered an exit and if he was offered safety, then he probably would consider it because he knows he's going one way right now. For the past 3 months, Russians have been desperately trying to negotiate with the Ukrainians, and Ukrainians have been turning them down, well, for good reasons, But Russians are definitely seeking for the exit. And I think they have just understood that there will be no negotiations with the Ukrainians, and Ukrainians will be pushing and pushing. That's why they're trying to mobilize and change things. Luke King, do you think Putin is needing to escalate because of internal pressure to succeed? To succeed what? Succeed. He's like the biggest success Russia has ever seen. He's taken Russia by the certain parts of anatomy and then squeezed them, this real hard. Like what else do you think there's a success for a president/dictator is, there are two types of pressure for Vladimir Putin. First of all, he desperately is hanging on to his power. He wants to prolong his power for as long as possible. Second, he's fearing for his life. There's two things that driving him right now, nothing else. He doesn't care about the Russians. He doesn't care about anything else whatsoever, okay? Luke, and you always come up with fantastic questions. I really appreciate your support and the questions. I think I missed a couple super chats. Tommy M, keep safe, God bless. Thank you so much, Tommy. Appreciate it. Alexander Toma, thank you so much to Inside Russia. I think I said that. Jason Carney. Jason, thank you. I don't know what to say. Very, very appreciate. Thank you very much. Dave Strains, Constantine T is grade mod inspected daily for impurities. It's funny. You better believe it. JMK, do you think that Russia will win with the mobilization? JMK, do you think that dark can win over light? I don't think so. Russia is against the world. It's not just against the Ukraine. How can Russia win against the world? And then what Russia is pursuing, it needs an exit badly. And not Russia, but the leaders, the leadership, one person, perhaps a few people, they need the exit. This is what they're just after. Their win would be them finishing this whole thing, keeping their face somehow in Russia, because they cannot keep their face in the world, obviously, and keeping their power. That would be it. That would be the victory. That they don't care about Ukraine whatsoever. Oh, come on. Holy be Jesus, today Admiral Gorchakov has left Russia for a long mission. It's armed with hypersonic vehicles. We'll see about them if they fly, because Russian vehicles, hypersonic vehicles, they have a tendency to malfunction. Nico Lorin, thank you so much. Thank you, appreciate the support. I take it you from Canada. Thank you so much. Seagulls. Hi, Konstantin. At what point, in your opinion, will normal Russians stop letting this happen and their leadership become sufficiently afraid to change this direction? Very sad question. Biggles, right? Very sad question. I have lost a lot of faith into Russian people in terms of their ability to not comply. One picture in particular made me do that. That picture is a showcase. It's not just, it didn't happen in just one place. It happened all over Russia. Same thing. Imagine that. You're watching a video. Someone was filming from telephone, handheld, low quality, but you're right there with everyone. You're inside. You see what's happening. There are buses that belong to the government, the mobilization center, the local mobilization center. There are a few buses, and there's a crowd of people. There are boys, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, and they're getting mobilized. And all know that they're going to fight in Ukraine. Some of them will die. Mothers and fathers are seeing them off, and they're all crying. Mothers and fathers, all, mature men and women cry. And the boys also cry. Well, some are not the boys. Some are like 30. Some are like 27, 25. They also cry. And there's a hauler. And I still see in the picture in front of my eyes, And there are policemen, of course, and they're not doing anything. They're pretty sympathetic. They're just looking at these people. And there are some people from the mobilization centers. And these mothers and fathers, they give their children to these people. They cry, but they give their children to these people, and the children get into the buses and being taken away. Now, after looking at that, I looked at that scene, must have been hundreds of times, okay? I lost faith into Russian people. If they give their children with their own hands, you tell me, don't ask me questions about Russian anymore, but you tell me, what is it going to take for Russian people to finally wake up and say, hey, wait a second, what are we doing? If they're given the most valuable they have, the kill, I would rip someone's throat apart for my kid. Okay? I would hide my kid. I would run with my kid. I would swim over a huge river with my kid, not to be taken to Ukraine, not to be killed. I don't understand them as parents. That's why I've lost faith in Russians. I don't understand how they can be so complacent. Oi. Over the past 10 months, I've seen such horrendous pictures from Ukraine, from Russia. It's like I'm living in a parallel reality, not in the reality I used to live in. My reality was nice, comfortable, was kind. It was filled with, work, family, just usual news. The worst thing that happened to us was the economy going down a little bit, compared to what it's happening now. Child's play back then. And gosh, everything's changed so much in the past 10 months. Thank you, Mikhail Werner. We all need real democracy in Russia, and then we welcome them to the rest of us in Europe. I know, and that's what I'm saying, Mikhail. You are people of love and empathy. Even after this horrendous actions, you say that, and I am very sure that you mean it. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Danke schön. Rita, K societies are definitely by various factors. Don't be discouraged by Russian people. The truth, sooner or later, truth comes out. That's when you can observe Russian society reaction. Thank you. You're right. Instead of just sitting here and watching, I am taking actions. I have taken quite a few actions, quite a few steps. There was another doctor came this morning. There was a guy that I met a couple months ago. He ran away from Russia in September, like me. And he was one of the first ones. Earlier people showed up at the Breakfast Club. He's an engineer, very good one. I actually know his company, one from one of the central Russia provinces. And he's depressed. He's been depressed for the past 3 months. And he showed up a few times for the Breakfast Club. He had breakfast with us. And then he just disappeared. He showed up today with a woman. And we were all having breakfast. Michael showed up, Natasha, and just there were a good crowd of, I'd say, every morning we have now from 10 to 15 people. We're growing. There are almost 200 people in the club right now. So he came to me and he said, Konstantin, I need your help. I said, sure. He said, I want you to speak to my wife. And this is my wife. He introduced me to his wife. He said, she's a doctor. And I want you to tell her that I am not the only one like this, that you are the same as I am, and there are other people like me. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, she is under, and she's right in front of me. I mean, they both are sitting, like they just sat right in front of me. So she's listening to every word. And he says she's been under influence of the Z people. And they're saying, well, how come he could, he escaped Russia. He's a traitor. He's a rat. He needs to come back. He shouldn't have fled. And basically, he had an order from Mobilization Center to show up. And then she tells him, but he's going to get killed. He's going to be sent to kill Ukrainians. No, just don't show up. Hide from them, but hide in Russia. Well, we'll provide you a place to hide, in someone's house. There's like a basement, a real deep basement. They will not find them. And I'm thinking, these people are crazy. Who just, they don't want to go serve in the army. They don't go to get mobilized. And they're suggesting that this person would hide in the basement. But they're Z people. They support this thing. So there's a dissonance. And this guy was very, not upset, but he's depressed, still depressed. So his wife came over to visit him. And she was looking at us, and her mood was changing. She was kind of like, becoming a human, because before that she was just sitting there like that. But then she saw me speak. She saw my wife. She saw everyone, and we're nice people. You can take my word on that. She heard the logic behind my words. And she's like, well, that's what I keep telling everyone. But you know what? I am just one person, and they surround me. My parents, his parents, all the relatives, all the friends, and even like my whatchamacallit, my like classmates. She just graduated from medical school. And I tell her, you know what? Why don't you just stay here in Tashkent? And she's like, well, how can I? I have a job in Russia. I said, well, imagine what's going to happen if you're going to stay there. And, she got so excited. She's like, wow, if I could. And they started thinking of moving to the United States and discussing, can you suggest the ways how to get to the USA? I said, well, and then she was saying, well, I checked. Even if I could become a nurse there, I could be making decent living for myself. And I'm telling her, like, why would you become a nurse? You're an epidemiologist. She's working with like CV-19 with viruses and researching viruses and stuff like that. Like, why would you become a nurse there? If you could take an exam and you can, continue being a doctor. So what I did is I hooked her up with the guy, the brain surgeon. He's employed now. I called him up. I said, any vacancies? And he started looking for vacancies for her. She's, as far as I understand, she's submitted her resume. I'm not sure if it's going to work out, but you know what? At least I try. And this is one of the very, it's just one thing out of many things I try to take steps every day. I talk in front of you, but guess what? This is just the talking head video. Informing, great, but that's talking the talk. But I have pledged to also walk the walk, and I try to walk the walk every single day. So that's the answer, a very long answer to you, Rita. I don't want to sit here and wait until Russian people wake up or they decide that they want to act differently. I try to change this world. I understand that I'm just a tiny speck, but at least I take one person at a time, and I try to help or change that person's life somehow, okay? And at least I have a few right now that I have helped or I have changed somehow, and I will continue. This is my stand. I just don't want to sit here and wait until things change. Whew, I need a tea after that. Constantine, time is up. Thank you, Nightbot. Thank you so much. I think I know who's controlling you. There are certain puppet masters behind the Nightbot. Sorry, Lorna. Or it wasn't Lorna, it was Bob. Couple more questions and that's it. I'm gonna be wrapping up. Texas Pete, in 1968, we asked Russian soldiers occupying Czechoslovakia why they want to die in a fight. The answer: Нас много не проблема. Are you serious? There are many of us, no problem. History repeats itself. Well, Texas Pete, let me tell you a story about my father. I've told it before, but obviously you didn't hear about that. My father came to Czechoslovakia as a 19-year-old soldier in 1969. Was it 69? Perhaps 70. Well, anyway, shortly after this tragic event of your country happened. And he was, basically he was drafted to the Soviet army, and he was given an order. He was placed in Slovakia, near the village or town called Bansko Bystrica. He was an airplane mechanic in charge of MiG-21 plane, in charge of the oxygen system. That was his department. He knew everything about that. He felt very bad serving in Czechoslovakia. He was stationed there for a year. After coming back to Russia, to Soviet Union, people obviously were asking about him, about Slovakia and about Czechoslovakia, about being there. He didn't get out much out of the base because they were not allowed to, but he did AWOL a few times. And he said he was absolutely shaken by how nice local Slovaks were. He would go to a bar and imagine 19-year-old Russian soldier, probably not welcome there, but they would treat him not as soldier, but as a boy. And he remember people would just drink beer with him and they were nice and not hateful. And he was so shaken by that he felt guilt, tremendous guilt for the next 30 years. And what happened in 1999, he came to Prague to live in Czech Republic to pay his dues, debt, not dues, but debt, to pay his debt to the country that he came to as a soldier 30 years ago, before that. He came in the very late 1999. Him and my mom, they didn't have a plan. My mom was religious. My dad was agnostic, non-believer. He always laughed at my mom. And then he got extremely sick, near-death situation. And he was instantly healed by Jesus Christ. That was a miracle. It's actually documented in Prague hospital. The doctors couldn't believe it. And then he saw Jesus. To make a long story short. And then he got out of the hospital. He was dying, literally dying. He called me up. I was in Maine, and he said, "Son, I'm saying goodbye." Out of the blue. I said, "Dad, what the heck is going on, And basically, he did say goodbye to me in 2000, I think mid-2000, July. And then he was cured instantly. The doctors couldn't believe it. They thought if he left the hospital, he'd go home and die, and he didn't. He was absolutely healthy. And he went to church. First church he could find. He walked into a church, and he told them what happened. He said, "I don't know who you are, but here I am, and I want to learn more about God." And they asked him, I said, "Listen, what do you do?" He said, "I'm a train driver, engine driver, professional engine driver, but second profession is the builder, construction worker." And they said, "Well, we're building a church right now. Would you like to help us build the church?" And he actually built a church in Sheberov-Opatov in Prague 5. And after the church was done, he was left there as a caretaker. They spent so many years with my mom there. And he became a preacher. He became speaking God's words. So, this is the story of my dad. And let me tell you something. He was feeling so sorry about serving in Czechoslovakia. And I think he paid his debt to the country. He had tons of friends. My mom still does have friends in Prague. She speaks to them on a daily basis. Ukrainians, the Czech people. So not all Russians are the same. There are some Russians, just like you said, нас много, нет проблем. And there are some other Russians, like my dad. And I think, my friends, this is time to Dave's trains. My dad loved trains. That was his passion. He was going to work last May 2022, 27th of May. He was actually preparing to go to work, and he dropped dead. His aorta bursted, okay? But he worked until the last day. When he didn't show up at work, they called him and said, "Where is he?" He's never late. And my mom was, of course, she was in shock. And someone said, "Well, he died." And people were at work also in shock. So that was his absolute best, greatest passion, the engines. He was in charge of quite a few engines at a large Russian factory in Rostov. And then he did different things, He was in charge of many engines. He drove one engine, and anyway, a tribute to my dad, a little tribute. My friends, thank you so much. Wrapping it up. Aorta, aneurysma aorta. That's what it's called. Julia, thank you. Ivan, thank you so much. All the mods, thank you. A little longer message, but let's pray. Let's finish this up right. Maureen M, thank you so much. Maureen, you are on this list. I think you are and your sister. Thank you for your support. Inviting everyone to finish the stream with a prayer. Dear God, Lord Jesus Christ, thank you for giving us this wonderful day. Thank you for putting food on our tables. Thank you for giving roofs over our heads and surrounding us with people we love and who love us. Please help our children, keep them healthy and safe so they grow up good people and will change this world for the better, so there will be no wars and there will be peace always. Please help Ukrainians, stop the bloodshed, reach out and talk to people, touch them, touch the hearts, heads, eyes, skins, I don't know, do whatever you need to do so they make this decision to stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Please help all the Ukrainians who have been affected by this tragedy. Answer their prayers and make their wishes come true, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please send everyone an angel in Ukraine so they keep everyone out of harm's way. And help my country. Send the army of strongest angels with sharpest swords led by Saint Michael so they come down and get rid of all these demons that have hijacked my country and they have been destroying it. They have been canceling it. They've been just doing so much harm. Please send the angels and Saint Michael to get rid of them. Make Russia run by angels. Make it peaceful. Make it right. Please help those who are helping Ukrainians. Please help those who are traveling. Send them safe travels. Help those who are seeking for asylum, running away from danger, from unfairness. Please help everyone who is sick. Send recovery. Please send help to parents of children who are sick. As this is the worst thing can happen is when your child gets sick or something happens to him or her. Please send help, send angels to every person and every child in need. Send food, give food to the ones who are hungry, shelter to the ones who are homeless, faith to the ones who are needed. Thank you. Please give us all peace. Don't let this mobilization happen in Russia. Just do everything that needs to be done to stop the bloodshed, to take soldiers on both sides away from from each other, from one another, and just separate them so they stop killing themselves and others. Please help. Reach out and talk to all pregnant women who are trying to keep their trying to make the decision whether to keep their babies or not. Reach out and talk to them. Whisper something that you know what to whisper in everyone's ear so they make the right choice. And please send help their way, send their families to support. Thank you for allowing us to come together and form this wonderful community of people. Thank you for people becoming not just virtual friends, but real friends here, talking to and meeting one another in real life. Thank you so much. This is absolutely great. And thank you for letting us come together and pray. Please help everyone who's praying with me right now or simply watching us pray. Answer everyone's prayers, make everyone's wish come true. I would like to ask you for a few people who need help. Please help, dear God. I would like to ask for Roy D. Mercer, for Joy, for Finola, Lisa's son and husband, Lars Henrik's mother, the Highwayman, Essie from the Scottish Isles, Outlander and family, Jen Allen, Shirley and Debbie. May God rest in peace the soul of Trenton Davis. Please help my dad in the afterlife. Me and my mom, we still love him very much. Let him know that, please. Please help Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Galina, Igor, Karen from Maine, Janine, Michael Milkowitz, Marlene, Paul Binns, Rudy Kaisley, Richard, Mallory M., Dirk, James Rhodes, Terry, Brittany S., Lars Henrik, Hannah and her children, Richard Burris, Angelic at Life, N2K, Scan's family grandson, Grace, Barb, Randolph, Nelly, Arkady, Yuri, and everyone in Mykolaiv, Ukraine, Harry's family, Verlinda's niece, Ian James, Doug, Rafaela From, Anna, Priscilla, Michelin, King Nero, Debbie Hyman, Donald, Deborah, Lisa's son, Jade, Allison, Dave Moyers, Terry Scrugg, Janice, Burgess, Maureen M. and her sister, Mr. Hanson, Heidi, Bob, Tony, Kylene, Rob, Umil, Jennifer, Matt, Ashley and family, Mr. Dean Spooner, and our Lutheran and his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church in all the parish, Lisa Kumrian, Jacob, Adam Oliver, Treasure, Kyle's wife, Grace Philosophy, and her family, her daughter Emma, who's pregnant, our grandchildren, Maggie, Carmen's sister, Vladislav, and his father Sergey, please help, Susie Myler, Gina and her husband Wayfarer, AMS paramedic Liz, Lori, Miles' husband, Sherry, Layla, Philip's mom, and a few special children I'd like to specifically ask. There are Cadence, Sebastian, Maverick, Maudie, and Theo. Please help. Give them recovery, send them recovery, help their families to go through hardship. Just send the kids home absolutely healthy and give them happy childhood and happy life. I am also asking for all children of Ukraine who have been affected by the tragedy, who have been displaced. Please help all the kids who need your help. Thank you so very much. Thank you, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Some streams start out nicely and turned out to be difficult at the end. Some otherwise. This is one of those streams. Thank you so very much for coming. Thank you for giving me a chance to deliver my message. Thank you for great questions, for your support. You are absolutely awesome and you rock. Please keep on coming back for more. And before I go, the usual, Carthago delenda est.